So today we'll solve one Leetcode medium problem named as a spiral matrix. This has been marked as medium, but it's kind of a easy problem. And this has been asked in almost all companies, Amazon, Microsoft, Adobe, in almost all previous years. Let us see and try to solve this, how, what we can do, what approaches we can, apply for this. So it says, given a matrix of M plus N, return all the elements of the matrix in spiral order. So this is the matrix which we have been given, and it says m plus n, and now we have to return an output array or single array 1D into the spiral order, and this is 1 2 3 6 9 8 7 4, and you see how it's been given. So the matrix was 1 2 3 5 6 7 8 9. So spiral basically means will be starting from left to right, then from top to bottom, then again from right to left, then bottom to top, and again the same order, whatever the order we have followed, the same again it goes on into the loop. So that's how you see this order is 1 2 3 6 9 8 7 4 5, right? So this order is nothing but we just need to traverse how we can traverse a 2D array or a matrix. It's just a way to traverse this matrix and nothing else. So let's try to see the example and understand this. So let's say if we have a given example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 14, 15, 7. So in spiral order, the output would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll traverse from left to right. Once we are done, then we'll start from top to bottom. So this one, since we have already covered, then we'll start from here. 8, 12, 8, 12, 16. Once we have covered from top to bottom, then we'll cover again from this right to left. This one is already has been covered, then we'll start from 15 onwards now. So this would be 15, 14, 13. And now again, same from bottom to top. So this has been already covered, then we'll start it from here till here. So that would be 9 and 5. And now again the same thing, which we have already done, right? It's the same order. That means, so this we have already covered, we have to perform from left to right, right? So this will be 6, 7, then from top to bottom. So that means only 11 is there, and then from right to left. So then we have 10. So that's the order which will be getting into our output array. So you can see this is nothing but matrix traversal, and let's try to traverse this matrix and print this the data output into an output array. And one more thing, if you see the total number of elements in output array would be whatever our matrix the total elements of the matrix. The total elements of the matrix is nothing but m cross n. So if I had a 2 cross 2 matrix, right? 1 2 3 4. So this is a 2 cross 2 matrix. So that means total number of elements is nothing but 4, right? So that would be length of our output array as well, where we'll have all the data. So the length of output array is nothing but m cross n. Cool. Now let's try to write the program for this quickly. So we can just come here, and what we'll do, we just need to define certain variables for that. So we'll just go through one by one what we basically did here into our given example. The very first thing we did, we started from left to right. We just moved from left to right, right? If you see. So what we did at the very first place, we moved from left to right and covered the top, like the first rows element, right? Or we can say, let's say the top elements. We just try to push them. Then what we did, we started from this top to bottom, right? So again, we started from top to bottom and covered this end, or you can say this right element. And if you see for this one, what we did, we started from right to left. So we started from right to left and covered all the bottom elements. And similarly here you can see from bottom to top, we just went, from bottom to top and covered all the leftmost elements. And if you do this into the loop one by one, then we are good, right? And every place you can see, once we are covered from this top element, now we are just moving starting from here, right? One next row order. So we just covered the first row, then covered from the second row onwards, this top to bottom second row onward. Then from this right to left, this last plus the second last column onwards. That's what we're always doing, right? So we just need certain variables. Let's say we need left, which will basically starting left would say this whether I'm onto the left side or right side. So left is this column. You're covering this left column, right column, top or bottom, right? So left is nothing but the first column. So left would be, let's say, starting from this zeros, right? The first one. Similarly, let's say top. Again, this is the first row is a zero, right? What about this right? So right would be nothing but this place, right? Right would be this column. So right would be matrix 0 dot length. This would be like from here we are starting, right? So matrix of 0 dot length, the last column value, and let bottom is equal to last row, right? The last row which we're going to cover. So last row is nothing but matrix dot length. And then we need an output array where we are going to store all the data. So total number of elements into the output array would be nothing but m cross n, right? That's the size of our matrix as well. So let's add the size as well so that we don't have to every time calculate. So matrix dot length into matrix of 0 dot length m cross n, right? Now once we have defined these things, so we just need to traverse from top to left to right, top to bottom, right to left, and bottom to right, bottom to top. That's what we need, kind of four loops to just travel this matrix. So let's start one by one. Let I equals to 0. I should be less than so just instead of doing this I equals to 0 and all, let's like what we are doing in the very first place. So all four loops we just need, right? Just which we discussed. The first loop would be from left to right, which we are going to cover. So and we have already initialized the variables for them. So for I equals to, if you're going to cover the first row, right, the very first row. So what we are going to cover, we are going to cover from left to right. We're moving left to right, right? So I equals to left, I should be less than equals to right, I plus plus. And let's do one thing, just add here, the minus one, that is elements to start from the 0th index, right? So the total, the right column belongs to here, like this index particularly, right? So we can just add there and try to push the data now into the output array. So in output.push, we can just put matrix of the row comma column values, right? And we just need to know what should be this row and column values. So the very first row is starting from left to right. So you can see we have just clearly mentioned we are starting moving from left to right. And then we are going to push what we are going to push the first row's value one by one every time, right? So our row, the first row basically means like a row would be constant here. We are not going to touch the row or increment the rows values. So row would be constant. We are not going to, so we are going to read the first row value, right, every time, but only the columns value are going to change these values. So row is constant. Constant basically means the top element, right? So we have left, top, right, bottom, right? So we are moving from left to right. And what elements we are reading? We're reading the top element, right? Every time we're moving from left to right, we are covering the top element, right? Which is we have written. And that should be constant value. So row is the constant. And what is the changing? Each column value is changing. So that's why our I variable is changing. So that's why the column value is getting changed. And now once we are done with this, then we need to read from top to bottom and the right element. Then we need to read from top to bottom and right element. But with this loop, we have covered 1, 2, 3 as well. So before starting the second loop, we just need to, exclude this value. Exclude basically means we just need to move the pointer from this particular cell to the here. So we just increase top by 1. So we just did top plus plus. And one more thing, we just need to add one more condition. Since we are going to push the elements into our output array, we just need to be, we can just add one extra check. That is kind of an edge check, edge case, like our out, output dot length. If you see, that should be less than size. So whatever the size we have, that is m cross n, it should always be less than that. It shouldn't exceed. Though we know that it won't exceed, but let's just to be on the edge case size, we have just written it. And when we'll try to run our program, we'll try to remove them and we'll see if this is working or not. Okay. So this one till this part we are clear, right? So the very first what we are trying to do, we are moving from left to right, this part, and then reading the top elements. The top element basically means this one. And once we are done with this, we are going to start from this top to bottom. So since we have already read this element, we just did top plus plus. And now in the second loop, we'll be reading from top to bottom and covering the right element, right? So let's again start the second loop as well. The way mentioned, we're starting from top to bottom. So I equals to top. I should be less than equals to bottom, right? Comma I plus plus. And now push the data into output array. Output dot push. And that should be a matrix of row comma columns, like, and what would be the row and column? So now what we are doing, we are reading each elements like one by one. So now each row value is getting changed. So value getting changed is nothing but I value is getting updated. And what the value we are reading the rightmost element, right? That's what we are covering. We are going from top to bottom and covering the right elements. So right is what for this our case, it would be matrix. The very first loop, it will be the end value, right? Cool. Now since we have covered this, so we have to start from this right to left and cover the bottom element, right? But since we've already read this, let's say ninth element, we need to start from this earth onwards. So we need to decrease our value, right? RIGHT, right? Minus minus. So that now instead of pointing to 9, it's pointing towards 8. And now again, the third loop will start from this right to left. And this will cover all the bottom elements. I should be greater than equals to left, comma I minus minus. And now output dot push. What we are going to push here, we are going to cover, we are reading from right to left and covering the bottom elements, right? So every time our row is not getting updated, only the columns is getting updated. So that's why you will be reading bottom of I. And now again the same way, since we have done with this last element bottom, we'll be just moving at the top, right, doing plus plus, because now we are going to read from bottom to top and covering the left element, right? But since we have already read the last element, it will be excluding that. So to do that, we can just do bottom minus minus. And now the final loop, which will be covering from bottom to top and covering the left element. So this would be covering bottom to top and the left elements. So now what we are going to cover, we are going to change the rows values. So we'll be reading the left element, right? So matrix of I comma j would be matrix of I comma left. And now once we are done with this, and let's say still you have to again start from here, right? So that means we have already read this one and we need to perform the same operation again, like from left to right. So we just need to exclude this one and start from here onwards. So that means we need to move the left pointer as well. So left plus plus. And once we are done, so our output will have the final data. So let's return this. Uh, what I will do, I'll just copy this and we'll see if there are going to be any edge case, failure for us or not. Otherwise, we'll just add this extra edge case. Let's try to submit it directly. J is not defined where which place. Hmm. Line number 4. Okay, this was some extra variable. Now let's try to submit it. Matrix is not defined, line number 9. Let's run it. Now it says again here we have this, okay, spelling mistake, multiple places. Right, RIGST. Wrong answer, why it's coming. Let us see. Let's add that extra edge case condition, which we just discussed here. And output length should be less than size. And then we can see where we are basically failing, even if that's the condition. It's undefined. Let us save the values. So what we are saying, we defined left with 0, top with 0, right is nothing but matrix of 0 dot length minus 1, bottom is nothing but matrix dot length minus 1. Good. Size is m cross n, and now we have an output array. Then we are saying, okay, we haven't added this inside our while loop, if you see. So like we need to perform the same operation again and again. So this would be while output dot length is less than size, right? So inside that, this entire portion, like these for loops should run again and again, right? Till this point, like we are done. We can't ignore there. So that's the one mistake. Again, we have the same thing. No worries. We'll try to figure it out. So till this part, we are good. Now we're saying I equals to left. We're starting and I should be less than equals to right, and output dot length is less than size, which is fine, and I plus plus. Now in output we're pushing matrix of top comma I, which is good, and then we did the top plus plus. Great. Second time onwards, what we'll be reading? I'll be reading from the top to bottom. So I equals to top and less than equals to bottom. Output dot length is less than size and I plus plus. And now we just need to push matrix of I comma right, which is good. Then we did right minus minus, which is again fine. Then I equals to starting from right and till the left portion. And we just did I minus minus. 100% bottom of I, which is again fine. And then bottom minus minus. Then we're starting again from the bottom till the top. I minus minus. And in output we're pushing matrix of I comma left, which is fine. And then left plus plus. That should be fine. And then let's try to run it. 1 2 3 6 9, and then again it says undefined 987. Till this part we are so we are good with this left to right, top to bottom, and then right to left. So here what's the mistakes we're making? So you're saying let I, okay, here I is missing. Okay, now run it. Okay, good. Okay, there is here it was I was missing. Now let's just submit it. Yep, it got accepted. So that's it. If you say the runtime and space-time complexity would be big O of n, and since we're using this output array extra space, that would be big O of n for us. That's it for today for this class.